Hello everybody, I am Dr. Sumati from the Department of Biochemistry, Biotechnology and Bioinformatics of Avanashilingam University. We have been earlier seeing modules on the paper Nutritional Biochemistry. In this particular module, I am going to discuss about some inborn errors which are caused due to carbohydrate metabolism. We have so far seen about the classification of carbohydrates, their structure and functions, and various concepts about their regulation. These processes must keep going normally or else the body's homeostasis is disturbed. In this module, we are going to discuss some concepts where the normal carbohydrate metabolism is affected due to some errors that are right from birth or which may lead to undesired effects to the body because a particular pathway is affected. It may cause accumulation of sugars and hence the body's balance is disturbed. We are all aware of the fact that carbohydrates are the body's sugar source which provide energy for the body. These include simple sugars like glucose, sucrose and fructose. Some sugars need to be broken down usually by enzymes before they can be used by the body. If the enzyme needed are not present, which may usually be due to the inherited disorder, then these sugars can build up and cause problems. The type of problems depends on the type of sugars involved. Now, inborn errors of carbohydrate metabolism are errors of metabolism that affect the catabolism and anabolism of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates account for a major portion of the human diet and are metabolized into three principal monosaccharides, namely galactose, fructose and glucose. The failure to effectively use these sugars accounts for the majority of inborn errors in human carbohydrate metabolism. This group of disorders may be caused due to an enzyme deficiency or its cofactor that affects the catabolism or anabolism of carbohydrates. Carbohydrate disorders are complex and hence can affect neurological, physical and nutritional status of an individual. So, the objectives of discussing this module is to gain knowledge about the various errors that occur in the metabolism of carbohydrates, to understand the factors responsible for these inborn errors, to know the types and causative factors for these errors of metabolic pathway, and finally to study the influence of these disorders in the physiological well-being of an individual. Let me now list out the different types of inborn errors of carbohydrate metabolism. They are galactosemia, essential fructosuria, hereditary fructose intolerance, diabetes mellitus, glycogen storage diseases, mucopolysaccharidosis and glycoproteinosis. As I told you earlier, some may be caused due to deficiency of specific enzymes like pyruvate carboxylase deficiency, fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase deficiency and glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. Now, let's discuss them one by one. First, let's see galactosemia. This galactosemia is a disorder that affects the body in the way it processes a simple sugar called galactose. A small amount of galactose is present in most of the foods. It is primarily part of a larger sugar called lactose, which is found in all dairy products and many baby formulas. The signs and symptoms of galactosemia are that it leads to inability to use galactose to produce energy. Lactose from milk is hydrolyzed by intestinal enzyme called lactase to produce glucose and galactose. The main pathway of galactose metabolism is galactose by the action of galactose 1-phosphate is converted to glucose 1-phosphate and ATP and ADP. There are actually three inborn errors of galactose metabolism. One is caused by galactokinase deficiency, second one by galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase, abbreviated as galactose 1-phosphate UT deficiency, and the third one is due to uridine diphosphate galactose 4 epimerase deficiency. So, the pyrophosphorylase pathway is an alternative route for the production of UDP galactose, which is essential for the incorporation of galactose into proteins and lipids. The generation of galactose 1-phosphate by this pathway explains why galactose 1-phosphate can still be synthesized in patients with galactosemia who are on a strict dietary galactose restriction. Researchers have identified several types of galactosemia. These conditions are caused by mutations in a particular gene and affect different enzymes involved in breaking down galactose. Classic galactosemia, also known as type 1, is the most common and most severe form of the condition. Galactosemia type 2, which is also called as galactokinase deficiency, and type 3 is also called as galactose epimerase deficiency, that causes different patterns of signs and symptoms. Let's see some complications associated with these types. Galactosemia 1 or classical galactosemia. This disorder is due to galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase deficiency. There is accumulation of galactose 1-phosphate and galactose and secondary formation of galactitol. It is typically seen by the end of the first week of life with poor feeding, vomiting, lethargy, jaundice, hepatomegaly, neonatal cataracts and renal tubular disease, and is often associated with E. coli septicemia. So, if infants suffering from classical galactosemia are not treated at the proper time with a low galactose diet, it may lead to life-threatening complications within a few days after birth. The symptoms include feeding difficulties, lack of energy, they are always lethargic, a failure to gain weight and grow as expected, or even failure to thrive, yellowing of the skin and whites of the eyes referred to as jaundice, liver damage and bleeding. Other serious complications of this condition can include overwhelming bacterial infections and shock. Affected children are also at increased risk of delayed development, clouding of the lens of the eye, speech difficulties and intellectual disability. Females with classic galactosemia may experience reproductive problems caused by ovarian failure. Next, galactosemia type 2. This is caused by galactokinase deficiency, which is a rare disorder where there is an inability to phosphorylate galactose. So, galactose and galactitol are excreted in the urine. Neonatal cataracts often due to the accumulation of galactitol in the lens. Treatment is with galactose-free diet. The cataracts are reversible if milk is excluded for the first few weeks of life. Next is galactosemia type 3. It results due to UDP galactose 4 epimerase deficiency. If it exists in a mild form, there may be a partial enzyme deficiency due to reduced protein stability and more pronounced in cells with long lifespan, for example, in the erythrocytes. Normal growth and development is observed. The signs and symptoms of galactosemia type 3 vary from mild to severe and can include cataracts, delayed growth and development, intellectual disability, liver disease and kidney problems. The next disorder we will see is called essential fructosuria. It is also known as hepatic fructokinase deficiency or ketohexokinase deficiency. It is a hereditary metabolic disorder caused by the deficiency in hepatic fructokinase, leading to fructose being excreted in the urine. Urea denotes in the urine. It is essentially a benign condition as fructose cannot be broken down, so it is simply excreted in the urine. It is actually inherited, and the inheritance is autosomal recessive. The next disorder is hereditary fructose intolerance. As we know that fructose is a monosaccharide that is found in fruits, honey and many vegetables. The disaccharide sucrose is also composed of glucose, and fructose is found in many foods. Sorbitol, which is also from fruits and vegetables, can be converted into fructose by the liver. Hereditary fructose intolerance, referred to as HFI, is a defect in fructose metabolism caused by the deficiency of aldolase B and only presents after ingestion of foods containing fructose, sucrose or sorbitol. It is caused by the catalytic deficiency of aldolase B or fructose 1,6-bisphosphate aldolase and develops severe abdominal symptoms after taking foods containing fructose and cognate sugars. Continued ingestion of noxious sugars leads to hepatic and renal injury and growth retardation. Parenteral administration of fructose or sorbitol may be fatal. When an infant with hereditary fructose intolerance is weaned, they suffer from nausea, vomiting, gastrointestinal discomfort and lethargy. They are at risk of liver and kidney failure and death if fructose is not withdrawn. The next disorder is the most common one seen in 1 in 10 in a population, which is none other than diabetes mellitus. It is of two types, but only type 1, which we are going to discuss, is inherited or an inborn error. So, type 1 or diabetes mellitus type 1, otherwise called as type 1 diabetes, insulin dependent diabetes mellitus or juvenile diabetes, is a form of diabetes mellitus that results from autoimmune destruction of insulin producing beta cells of the pancreas. The subsequent lack of insulin leads to increased blood and urine glucose. The classical symptoms are polyuria, which is nothing but frequent urination, polydipsia, which is increased thirst, polyphagia, which is increased hunger, and weight loss results. The next class is a group of disease called as glycogen storage diseases, abbreviated as GSD. As the name indicates, these are the metabolic defects concerned with glycogen synthesis and degradation and are collectively referred to as glycogen storage diseases. These disorders are due to the defects in the enzymes, which may be either generalized or tissue specific. There are about 8 classes of glycogen storage diseases. They are caused due to defect in the following enzymes, which we have already discussed when we saw the module on glycogen synthesis. Coming to the types. Type 1 is caused by glucose 6-phosphate deficiency and it is also called as the von Gake's disease. Type 2 caused by acid maltase deficiency called as Pompe's disease. Type 3 caused by debranching enzyme deficiency known as Forbes-Cori disease. Type 4 is caused by trans-glucosidase deficiency called as Anderson's disease, amylopectinosis. Type 5 is caused due to myophosphorylase deficiency and is called as McArdle's disease. Type 6 is caused by deficiency of phosphorylase enzyme and it is otherwise called as Hurst disease. And type 7 is due to the deficiency of the enzyme phosphofructokinase, and it is also called as steroid disease. Now let's see each one in detail. Glycogen storage disease type 1. Glycogen storage disease type 1, also known as von Gates disease, is an inherited disorder caused by the accumulation of a complex sugar called glycogen. This accumulation of glycogen in certain organs and tissues, especially the liver, kidneys and small intestine, impairs their ability to function normally. Signs and symptoms of this condition typically appear around the age of 3 or 4 months, when babies start to sleep through the night and do not eat as frequently as the newborns. Affected infants may have low blood sugar, that is hypoglycemia, which can lead to seizures. They can also have a buildup of lactic acid in the body, known as lactic acidosis, high blood levels of waste product called uric acid, this condition is called hyperuricemia, and excess amount of fat in the blood, referred to as hyperlipidemia. As they get older, children with this glycogen storage disease type 1 have thin arms and legs and short stature. An enlarged liver may give the appearance of a protruding abdomen. The kidneys also may be enlarged. Affected individuals may also have diarrhea and deposits of cholesterol in the skin, referred to as xanthomas. Delayed onset of puberty is another feature that is noticed. This condition begins in young to mild adulthood, and the affected individuals may have thinning of the bones, known as osteoporosis, a form of arthritis resulting from uric acid crystals in the joints called as gout, kidney disease, and high blood pressure in the blood vessels that supply the lungs, leading to a condition called as pulmonary hypertension. Females with this condition may also have abnormal development of the ovaries, called as polycystic ovaries. In affected teens and adults, tumors called adenomas may form in the liver. Next is glycogen storage disease type 2 or Pompe disease. Pompe disease is an inherited disorder caused by the buildup of a complex sugar called glycogen in the body's cells. The accumulation of glycogen in certain organs and tissues, especially muscles, impairs their ability to function normally. There are 3 types of Pompe disease which differ in severity and the age at which they appear. These types are known as classic infantile onset, non-classic infantile onset and late onset. Infantile onset Pompe disease is seen within few months of birth. Infants with this disorder typically experience muscle weakness, that is myopathy, poor muscle tone, enlarged liver and heart defects. Affected infants may also fail to gain weight and grow at expected rate and have breathing problems. If untreated, this form of Pompe disease leads to death from heart failure in the first year of life. The non-classic form of infantile onset Pompe disease usually appears by the age 1. It is characterized by delayed motor skills and progressive muscle weakness. The heart may be abnormally large, called as cardiomegaly, but affected individuals usually do not experience heart failure. The muscle weakness in this disorder leads to serious breathing problems, and most children with non-classic infantile onset Pompe disease live only into early childhood. The late onset type of Pompe disease may not become apparent until later in childhood, adolescence or adulthood. Late onset Pompe disease is usually milder than the infantile onset forms of this disorder and is less likely to involve the heart. Most individuals with this late onset Pompe disease experience progressive muscle weakness, especially in the legs and the trunk including the muscle that controls breathing. As the disorder progresses, breathing problems can lead to respiratory failure. Next is glycogen storage disease type 3. It is also known as GSD3 or Cory's disease, is an inherited disorder caused by the buildup of a complex sugar called glycogen in the body cells. The accumulated glycogen is structurally abnormal and impairs the function of certain organs and tissues, especially the liver and the muscles. Beginning in infancy, individuals with any type of GSD3 may have low blood sugar, excess amount of fat in the blood, and elevated blood levels of liver enzymes. As they get older, children with this condition typically develop an enlarged liver. Liver size is usually returns to normal during adolescence, but some affected individuals develop chronic liver disease called as cirrhosis and liver failure later in their life. People with this type 3 disease often have slow growth because of their liver problems, which can lead to short stature. In a small percentage of people with this disease, non-cancerous benign tumors called as adenomas may form in the liver. Next is glycogen storage disease type 4 or otherwise called as Anderson's disease. This again is a rare hereditary metabolic disorder. It is a result of mutation in the GBE1 gene, which causes a defect in the synthesis of glycogen branching enzyme. Therefore, glycogen is not made properly and abnormal glycogen accumulate in the cells. This is seen most severely in the cardiac and muscle cells. The severity of this disease varies on the amount of enzyme produced. It is also known as glycogenosis type 4 or glycogen branching enzyme deficiency or polyglucosan body disease or amylopectinosis. Do you remember when we learnt about glycogen structure, we discussed about an enzyme called glycogen branching enzyme? This condition is result of absence of that branching enzyme, namely glycogen branching enzyme amylo-1,4,1,6 transglucosidase, which is critical in the production of glycogen. So, this leads to very long unbranched glucose chain being stored in glycogen. The long unbranched molecules have low solubility, which leads to glycogen precipitation in the liver. These deposits subsequently build up in the body tissue, especially in the heart and liver. The probable end result is cirrhosis and death within 5 years. In adults, the activity of the enzyme is higher and symptoms do not appear until later in life. Transglucosidase, which is found in all tissues, is deficient. This condition is autosomal recessive. Due to the abnormal glycogen, hepatic deposition may occur and result in severe cirrhosis, hepatic failure or neuromuscular failure. It also can present as abnormal liver function test in its mildest presentation. Next is glycogen storage disease type 5 or otherwise called as McArdle's disease. This is also known as GSD5 or McArdle's disease and is an inherited disorder caused by the inability to break down a complex sugar called glycogen in the muscle cells. A lack of glycogen breakdown interferes with the function of the muscle cells. People with GSD5 typically experience fatigue, muscle pain, cramps during the first few minutes of exercise. That is, they show exercise intolerance. Exercise such as weightlifting or jogging usually triggers these symptoms in affected individuals. The discomfort is generally alleviated with rest. Prolonged or intense exercise can cause muscle damage in people with GSD5. About half of the people with GSD5 experience breakdown of muscle tissue called rhabdomyolysis. When the condition becomes severe, it leads to the destruction of muscle tissue and releases a protein called myoglobin, which will be filtered through the kidneys and it is released in the urine known as myoglobinuria. Myoglobin causes the urine to be red or brown. This protein can also damage the kidneys, and it is estimated that half of those individuals with GST5 who have myoglobinuria will develop life-threatening kidney failure. Next is glycogen storage disease type 6 or HERS disease. Glycogen storage disease type 6 or HERS disease is an inherited disorder caused by an inability to break down a complex sugar called glycogen in the liver cells. A lack of glycogen breakdown interferes with the normal functions of the liver. The signs and symptoms of GST6 typically begin in infancy to early childhood. The first sign is usually enlarged liver. Affected individuals may also have low blood sugar or buildup of lactic acid in the body during prolonged periods without food. The signs and symptoms of GST6 tend to improve with age. Most adults with this condition do not have any related health problem. Next is glycogen storage disease type 7 or thyroid disease is characterized by weakness, pain and stiffness during exercise. GST7 is caused by abnormalities in the muscle phosphofructokinase gene that results in deficiency of phosphofructokinase enzyme. This enzyme deficiency leads to a reduced amount of energy available to the muscles during exercise. GST7 is also an inherited autosomal recessive genetic disorder. GST type 7 usually begins in childhood and characterized by weakness, pain and stiffness during exercise, sometimes associated with nausea and vomiting, and a dark burgundy colored urine due to the presence of myoglobin. Destruction of muscle tissues can also occur. A rare form of GST type 7 has been reported in infants that is associated with progressive loss of muscle tone, muscle weakness and death. So, as mentioned earlier, the glycogen storage disease type 7 is caused by abnormalities in muscle phosphofructokinase gene that results in the deficiency of phosphofructokinase enzyme. This enzyme normally converts fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-diphosphate. This is the controlling step in the breakdown of glucose to available energy, and if this enzyme is deficient, energy is not available to the muscles during heavy exercise. Consequently, pain and cramps occur in the muscle. Next type of disease is called as mucopolysaccharidosis. This is a group of metabolic disorder that is caused either by the absence or defect of the functioning of lysosomal enzymes that breaks down the class of carbohydrates, glycosaminoglycans, which we have discussed in the earlier modules. People with this disease either do not produce enough of one of the 11 enzymes required for their breakdown into simpler molecules, or they produce enzymes that do not work properly. Over time, these glycosaminoglycans will collect in the cells, blood, connective tissues. This results in the damage which affects the appearance, physical abilities, organ and system functioning, and in most cases mental development. Lysosomal disorders like mucopolysaccharidosis are triggered when a particular enzyme exists in too small an amount or is missing altogether. The mucopolysaccharidosis share many clinical features but have many varying degrees of severity. These features may not be apparent at birth but progresses as storage of glycosaminoglycans affects the bone, skeletal structure, connective tissue and other organs. Neurological complications as well as pain and impaired motor functions are seen. The nerves in the spinal cord or the root are compressed. Depending on the mucopolysaccharidosis subtype, affected individuals may have normal intellect or have cognitive impairments, may experience severe behavioral problems. Many individuals have hearing loss, either conductive or it may also be neurosensory, in which tiny hair cells in the inner ear are damaged, or sometimes they may have both the symptoms. Physical symptoms generally include coarse or rough facial features, including flat nasal bridge, thick lips, enlarged mouth and tongue, short stature, dysplasia, and other skeletal irregularities, thickened skin, enlarged organs such as liver called as hepatomegaly or splenomegaly, hernias, and excessive body hair growth. Recurring respiratory infections are common as obstructive airway disease and obstructive sleep apnea. Next is glycoproteinosis. This is again a lysosomal storage disease that affects the glycoproteins resulting from defects in lysosomal functions. These are the defects in the post-translational modification of lysosomal enzyme. Another type of glycoproteinosis is the recently characterized called as galactosialidosis. Now, let us move on to the disorders of gluconeogenesis. First one is caused by pyruvate carboxylase deficiency. This is seen with lactic acidosis, neurological dysfunctions like seizures, hypotonia, and coma. It is a defect in the first step of gluconeogenesis, where oxaloacetate is produced from pyruvate. In addition to the effect on gluconeogenesis, lack of oxaloacetate affects the functioning of the Krebs cycle and synthesis of aspartate that is required for the urea cycle. In acute neonatal form, lactic acidosis is severe. There is moderately raised plasma ammonia, citrulline, and ketones. Fasting results in hypoglycemia with worsening lactic acidosis. Diagnosis can be confirmed by the assay of pyruvate carboxylase activity in cultured skin fibroblasts. Patients rarely survive less than 3 months in the severe form. Next is fructose 1,6 bisphosphate deficiency. This condition results in moderate hepatomegaly, metabolic acidosis, and hypoglycemia. The defect leads to impaired gluconeogenesis and accumulation of precursor of gluconeogenesis, that is lactate, pyruvate, alanine, and ketones. The only glucose source is dietary or via glycogenolysis. Treatment involves correction of acidosis and hypoglycemia, and they should avoid fasting. Next is caused due to glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. This is an X-linked defect of the enzyme involved in the first irreversible step of pentose phosphate pathway, which we have already discussed. A decrease in NADPH production makes the red blood cell membranes vulnerable to oxidative stress, leading to manifestations that are seen on the early neonatal stage and may lead to jaundice and acute hemolytic anemia. However, most individuals with the deficiency are clinically asymptomatic. So, to conclude, these errors of carbohydrate metabolism affect the catabolism and anabolism of carbohydrates. The failure to effectively use these molecules accounts for majority of inborn errors of carbohydrate metabolism. Inborn errors causing clinical manifestations in the neonatal period are usually severe and are often lethal if proper therapy is not promptly initiated.